Preacher and the Prodigy podcast. I'm the Prodigy and he is the Preacher, and we are back for yet another week of college football. It is now week 3. We are starting to get things rolling. The train has left the station. We're excited about how this year has gone as college football fans, maybe not as Michigan fans, as we'll get into. But so far, it's looking good for another fun year of college football. If you're new to the show, we go over what happened in the previous Michigan game, a little bit of a preview of what's to come this week, and then we pick 4 or 5 games every week against the spread, who we think is going to win, maybe some upsets, maybe some a little bit of underdog play, maybe some shake up in the top 25. We got it all here, and we just love college football, and we're ready for another week of this.
And we want to begin by thanking our sponsor,
Drew Vogel.
Diamond
Vogel
Paints up there. We got the Vogel truck behind you. We got the Vogel Paints sign behind us. If you're looking to maybe change the color inside your living room, or maybe you're looking for more industrial paint, Diamond Vogel, based out of Orange City, Iowa, a company founded by generations of Vogels past.
Mm-hmm.
You got to see the paint pool that they have that they used to use to test paint. It's amazing. But we want to thank Diamond Vogel Paints for their sponsorship.
Now this is an interesting point that you made in Orange City. A rumor was given to me by someone I can't remember that there might be a Diamond Vogel around us.
Oh, there is. Menominee Falls.
Okay, so not solely in Orange City, but based in Orange City.
Yeah,
yes.
so
a national brand. Blessed to be sponsored by them. But good ties with the guys up there.
Yeah.
Get things running?
Well, I guess we have to talk a little bit about what happened in Ann Arbor last Saturday. I'll just say this as an introduction. I have never been less discouraged about a Michigan football loss in my whole life. Never. I mean, you're still post-national championship euphoria. B, it's a rebuilding year. C, Texas is pretty good. And D, I predicted the score on this very podcast as Texas 31, Michigan 10. Michigan outperformed my prediction. It was 31-12. So
you're on fire. We do keep track of these scores. We predict the score of the game every week. Through 2 weeks, you have only been a total of 6 points off.
Not by 6 points by counting each team's differential.
Right. So I can't remember what you did the first week, but I mean, you didn't have any difference in the Texas score, and your Michigan score was only off by 2. So
I said 31-14 or 30-14 in the first game, and it was 30-10. In the second one, I said 31-10, and it was 31-12.
Just for reference, I'm 14 points off.
Which is pretty
good. A little bit of distance.
So what happened? What did you see? What did you not see? What does it mean for this Michigan football season?
Yeah, there's a lot to say about this game, especially when Texas had the football, because it really was a picnic out there, a picnic and a clinic for Quinn Ewers and that entire Texas offense. You saw a lot of kind of problems based mostly Martindale coming from the NFL. Probably a lot of him assuming players knew how to do stuff and used to players more athletic and with who know more about the game and not college players. And I think that played out a lot in the game against Texas, to where Steve Sarkisian was just able to manipulate our defense in ways. It didn't matter who you had on the field. If you weren't in the right spot and doing the right thing, Texas was going to feast.
Yeah.
And that's what they did.
I think Michigan has 2 unquestionably elite defensive players. Those players are Mason Graham and Will Johnson. You have a couple other pretty good players on defense. Makari Page is pretty good defensive player. Jayshon Barham's pretty good defensive player. Josiah Stewart, Derek Moore. But all that Sark did is kept that offense running play after play after play. Michigan had to rotate out, and whenever there was an opportunity to go away from one of those elite players, they just used the rest of the field. I mean, the field's almost 70 yards wide. Will Johnson is about 1 yard wide, maybe. Yeah. There's a whole lot of other green space to go when he's not there, Jair Hill was picked on repeatedly. And even though, yeah, I was correct on Texas's final point total, that was not the
It's
maximum
not accurate of
point
what
total.
you.
But I think wisely, Sark saw this game's enhanced 24-3. He knows he's got to play Georgia. He has to run an SEC schedule yet. Let's keep some of the better stuff, as it were, in the barn for another day. And Texas could have put up 48, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And Michigan, completely outclassed in every position on the field except CB1 and probably kicker, and maybe DT1. Everything else, Texas was better. And so when you have 22 starters, the team is better. 17, 18, 19 of those positions, you're going to win the games.
Yeah.
Especially when turnovers get factored in. Colson Loveland doesn't quite butt fumble. He hip fumbles. And
he didn't secure the ball. He just held it in one hand and he hit it with his thigh.
Kind of a high leverage point in the game as well. So
yeah, offensively it wasn't pretty either. It was a lot of just stare down Colson Loveland and hope there wasn't a triple team on him and throw him the ball. He did make a really impressive catch where he mossed the guy about 20 something yards downfield, but other than that, it did not look pretty. For Michigan trying to move the ball and possess the ball and not let Texas put that offense back on the field.
It's a mild surprise, not a total surprise, but a mild surprise. We talk about preseason that Michigan's offense is crummy because for the last 3 years, this team has found its identity on the basis of having, two Joe Moore winning offensive lines, and then a pretty darn good one last year as well that didn't win it. But and it's mildly surprising because the architects of the offensive line, Sharon Moore, Grant Newsome, are still there. But whether it's that they don't have the raw material or that these guys really just are at the front end of their careers and aren't good yet, Michigan's offensive line is just bad. They don't block for the run game well. They don't pass protect well. 5 new starters will do that, and hopefully there's time for them to come together. But my expectations for the season, which were 8-4-ish, seem pretty optimistic based on Illinois beating a ranked Kansas team. Indiana scored 77 points the other night. Michigan State with a really nice win on the road in College Park. I don't know. So it's going to be a challenging season. I'm not sad about it. I kind of saw it coming. The big question, as you and I were talking about in the car the other day, is what does Sharon Moore do as he pivots from the mulligan that every coach has in year 0 to really change the narrative for next year? Because next year was the one, I think, at a distance that looks like kind of a trough year on the roster for Michigan. You lose Graham, you may lose Will Johnson, you maybe lose Kenneth Graham, maybe you lose Jay Sean Barham, Miles Hinton. Now you've got to start, kind of getting the NIL purses filled up in order to try to retain some of those guys, and then you're just going to have to go to the portal hard.
Right.
So we have a matchup with the Red Wolves of Arkansas State. What do you know about the 2-0 Red Wolves, and what would be your prediction? And what was maybe one thing you think you'll see this Saturday when you're not running in a cross-country meet?
Yeah. Not much that I know about him. Not much that really anybody knows about him. But from recent history, they are primarily a passing team. That's what their bread and butter has been in the Sun Belt, and have had experienced quarterbacks go on, maybe not quite to be NFL starters, but NFL backups, practice team players, and even like XFL players. Just good talent coming from a Group of 5 conference. It's really just going to have to be kind of a get-right game for Michigan. If there were a lot of times in the Texas game where it's just simple stuff we couldn't execute, I think that's going to have to be seen Saturday against Arkansas State before we play USC, and this is going to have to be how it is. If to give us any hope, we're going to have to be able to, execute on the easy stuff before we can try to complicate and confuse Lincoln Riley.
Arkansas State has scored 62 points in their 2 victories. The first in the, what would you call it, the Walmart Bowl against Central Arkansas, the in-state clash. Forget the Razorbacks. And then they did defeat Tulsa in a game that I looked at the ESPN preseason win probability, and it seemed that the ESPN Arkansas State was favored going into that game against Tulsa, which at a distance you might be surprised to see. I, I'm like not expecting a get right game here. I think this is a game Michigan tinkers around a little bit, maybe a little bit too much. I would love to see, suddenly, switches flipped and Michigan win 52-3, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, I don't either, but
so what's going to be your score prediction here for this?
My score prediction for this game, it's hard because you have to come up with a Michigan score where they're not going to get a lot of possessions. Like, you can't go with 33 because you need a lot of times to get field goals and touchdowns. So give me Michigan wins this game. Give me a 30,
by the way, let's just say it's a 23.
I think it's 23 and a half. It's
at a 47
under. Give me Michigan win this game 34-11 and cover. Well, no, that's not a cover. Wow.
That's a
Vegas
push.
did that right.
That's a push.
All right, 28-11. Michigan wins. So Arkansas State cover.
28-11. So
we're Iowa at this point. Weird scores.
I got Michigan 26, Arkansas State 14. I think each team gets 2 touchdowns. Michigan cannot finish drives, and they get a whole bunch of Dominic Zavada action. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those games where you can just see anxiety building in Michigan Stadium if there is a pick six, for instance, thrown by Alex Orji, who's out there throwing, a complete drive. I don't know. I just think it's going to be a dumb game, and we've seen what happened with Notre Dame. These Notre Dame's a way better team than Michigan. I think it's just not going to come together this year for Michigan. I'm going to take the Red Wolves to cover as well.
All right.
So we have an unimpressive national slate with teams we don't know much about yet. So we're going to do this lightning round.
If there was ever a day to mow your lawn on a Saturday afternoon or morning, it would be
maybe get out the power washer.
Have a project to do, a DIY project. If there's any week, it would be
rotate your tires.
Yeah, bring it. Oil change, just that kind of stuff. Nevertheless, we're going to pick some games. There aren't a lot of powerhouse matchups at all. There's some weird games. It's a lot of a few of the games this week are games that you would expect to see in like week 13, like rivalry week, but are being played in week 3 because of conference realignment. Not like they're both going to be of equal prowess in terms of skill, but still rivalry games nonetheless. So we will start.
Let's go.
With Alabama and Wisconsin. Alabama is heading to Wisconsin at Camp Randall. This is a Fox Nude game.
Practically in our backyard.
Yeah, unfortunately we can't go because we are going east to Milwaukee for a cross country meet. Anyways, the Tide are favored by 16. So you go first because you lead me by 1 game. 7-3, 6-4 through 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Badgers to stay inside that number in a low-scoring game. I just think that maybe people have overreacted a hair to the start of the season for Wisconsin. Alabama didn't pull away from USF immediately. I think that this is a game that a lot of people have spent a lot of money and tickets on. They're going to be invested in and having the stadium bounce around a little bit. I'm going to take Alabama to win this game 31-20.
You think they score 20 points? Give me Bama to cover this. Not by a lot, but to cover and never really feel like the game is out of hand for them. Just kind of a dominant win by the favored team. Give me Bama to kind of run Camp Randall on Saturday. So give me Bama to cover.
You didn't say a score.
You want to score?
Well, I just wonder, like, what are you envisioning?
We'll go with a 37-16 Bama win.
Wow.
37-16 Bama win. Heading West Coast to the Civil War, I think that term that was coined for a while kind of got done with because that's society now, but we'll call it the Civil War. It's Oregon and Oregon State. 2:30 game on Fox, and the Ducks are favored by a similar score total, 17 points. This is weird because Oregon has not been impressive when they should have been through the first 2
Eugene
weeks.
or Corvallis? Where are we playing
This is in Corvallis. So the Beavers will be hosting this. Oregon last week barely escaped a tough one with Boise State. You predicted that was going to be a fun game, close game, and it was. I predicted last week that Oregon would come out mad and prove that they are still a title contender. I was wrong. I'm going to go with it again, though. This one makes more sense. It's a rivalry game. They're clearly the better team. And it just seems like Oregon's got more to play for, even though Oregon State doesn't really have anything to lose. Give me Oregon to cover 17 points. It's a lot.
I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to take the Ducks in this. I think it's a matter of time just for Oregon to come together. Oregon State, coaching change, quite a bit of turnover there on the roster. And, yeah, I think that if we're back in week 1 and these things with the Idaho teams hadn't happened, what's the spread at? 25? I don't know, something like that. So they have happened. You can't discount that completely. But I think the Ducks, even though it's in Corvallis, there's going to be a lot of green and yellow or whatever Oregon's official colors are now, maybe silver and hot pink, are going to be repping the Ducks. So I'm going to go with you. I'm going to take Oregon.
All right, staying on the West Coast, we have the Apple Cup. Washington State and Washington. Not a lot we know about these teams, but what we do know is Washington is favored by 4.5. I would like to go first anyway and say Washington is going to cover because they are the home team, and it's going to be hard for Washington State to get out of there with anything to be happy about. There's my take.
I like Jed Fish to Washington State. I believe also the new head coach. Right? Did Dicker leave Washington State?
I
don't know. We should know that. We didn't do our research. I'm going to take Washington as well. I like Jed Fish, even though they had some turnover. They did get a quarterback out of the portal, Will Rogers out of the Clang country. Yeah, I'm going to take Washington.
All right, now we're really running thin here. Friday game, the only one of 2 top 25 matchups of the week. Arizona and Kansas State tomorrow at 7, and the Wildcats are favored. Funny, Kansas State is favored by 7 points. Give me Arizona just because I know more about their team. I know it's a road game for them, but Kansas State has not looked impressive through 2 weeks, and I think that Noah Fifita and T-Mac, Tedderoa McMillan, will have a fun game and an impressive game. Give me Arizona to win this game outright.
This game's in Little Apple?
Yep, it is. Manhattan, Kansas.
K-State by 7 on the dot or 7.5?
7 on the dot.
Give me those purple Wildcats. I'm going to take Kansas State in this one, take the home team. I do, of course, love Fifita and Mellon. It's the kind of game that maybe Chris Kleeman just get everybody pulled together for. I'm going to take Kansas State.
And the final game of the week, it is the Backyard Brawl, a game that would probably be fun to go to just because it is a brawl, not because either team is impressive, but just because it's a fun non-con rivalry game. Is West Virginia at Pitt, 2:30 game, basically a pick-em. It's West Virginia -1, but Pitt is hosting this year. You go?
Close game. I'm going to take the home team. Give me the Pitt Panthers.
I agree. They look solid. They look more like a fun football team to watch than just a team that holds the ball forever and doesn't do anything with it. Give me Pitt to get a big win for the program.
We shall see. It's just a hope. What's coming in week 4? Is there Michigan, USC? Okay. But what are there good games to look forward to next week?
I believe that there should be. I mean, Utah and Oklahoma State, that's important for the Big 12 race. Probably the two favorites of the conference dueling it out early in the season. Tennessee heads to Oklahoma, so there's going to be a lot of points there. Basketball game on turf. Just a lot of vertical offense. That could be a really, really fun game to watch. Other than that, not a lot.
Well,
that I'm
since
seeing.
we can sign off by saying congratulations, Pac-12. You have you're actually now the Pac-6.
Yeah, and I saw a stat the other day. Former Pac-12 teams are like 21-2
Hmm.
over like Pac-12 over the first 3 weeks and just really running the table.
Two
So
are
it's,
probably UCLA, right? I mean, they're not any good. But
yeah. I Speaking of the Pac-12, you want to talk about that? They're getting new teams.
that's what I'm saying. Congratulations to the Pac-12. So they Colorado State. Who else? Fresno State.
Boise and San Diego State. So kind of the main lines, besides Wyoming, of course, kind of the main headliners of the Mountain West Conference.
Yeah.
So
How
really
long till
trying
those
to-
Aztecs start demanding an auto bid into a bye week for the Power Six that is back now? So I don't know. We'll find out. Until next time, I'm the Preacher.
I'm the Prodigy.
Peace.
Peace.